What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to GOALAZO here on FSI. I'm Alex Super, bringing you some GPP tips, tricks, strategies, whatever you want to call it. And if you want to call it plays, I suppose that as well. Before we get into it, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment if you may. What did I miss? What have I gotten right before? And where do you like going on this Saturday EPL slates, December 4th? As we can get right into it. It's Groundhog Day. It's the same as last weekend's slate. Liverpool's big favorite, and then a bunch of teams can't score. So let's try and find who might be able to actually score. All right. So Liverpool, the biggest favorite, minus 224 with a 51.6 XG4 plus oppositional against. They're at Wolves here, so a road favorite, but they're Liverpool. Wolves, obviously the biggest dog on the slate, plus 689 at home, 30.2. That is the worst XG mark on the slate. So we can probably avoid Wolves here. Over under 2 3/4 at minus 109. So we're looking at Liverpool 3, Wolves nothing, or like a 2-1 game here. I don't see Wolves scoring, but it would be a great oppositional contrarian play. So 2 home favorites marginally: Newcastle plus 140 against Burnley plus 226 at St. James Park. Burnley actually with the better XG number here, 38.3. Newcastle 33.4. That is the worst on the slate other than Wolves. The under here, 2.5, minus 108. Southampton, the favorite in odds and XG against Brighton, plus 148, 36.5 XG. Brighton plus 226, 34.9 XG. The over under equal, minus 105, and we're at 2 1/4. So yeah, obviously I don't have a huge lean about any of these teams. I like Burnley a little bit, and I think actually that's a decent spot for GPP. So there's one player I like in particular. So we will talk about that here in a second. I don't know if you could actually see what's behind it, but now you can. Okay. So like I said, Liverpool, big favorite, Groundhog Day. What are you going to do with Liverpool? There's a chance we see some rotation, but we're going to see Jota up front with Firmino still out. And then I think that Jurgen Klopp is going to just drive Mo Salah and Sadio Mane into the ground before the African Cup of Nations. So, you're going to lose those guys for a month. You need as many points as possible, and you might as well just go get them. So last week, the discussion was, well, Salah versus the savings of Mane. And, do you want to get to Jota? The answer was, definitely get to Jota and play Thiago, which gave you a little bit of savings at forward. Is he still forward? There he is. Yep, he sure is. Okay, so that option is there as well. But we don't even have projected lineups at this point, so we don't know what we're going to see. The big one for Liverpool that may be a change is Andy Robertson out for Konstantin Tsimikas. Tsimikas, regardless. So excuse me. So the savings is still there. Mane still makes a ton of sense, and the longer he has kind of a goal drought, the more due he is. Maybe this price just keeps trapping, but I'll be getting the Sadio Mane plenty. I'll get the Salah as well. I'll probably pair them at least once. So, and then maybe Jota and Salah, but that would kill my lineup. Jota has been great. 9.5 is pretty steep, though. I would just rather take Mane. Yeah, it's GPP. Go with whoever you think is going to be like lowest owned and still score a goal, but that's expensive. Speaking of expensive, Pascal Gross at 8.8 always gets there. But yeah, 12. Southampton's not great. He's been back in form. I don't know that I'd play him in GPP. I think he's a fine cash play, but I don't think you need him in cash either. Alan St. Maximin, 8-4. What's his game log looking like? Yeah, he's got a good ceiling. So like if you really like Newcastle here, that's fine. I don't think you're playing him for his 4 or anything like that. But it's Burnley, so they usually surrender high floors. So there's Mane. Firmino's out. Callum Wilson, 7.9. Generally pretty contrarian with his price here. I like him. I would play him over St. Maximin if it were me. Moving forward, Dwight McNeil has kind of lost some sets for Burnley. Was talking with Gator about this before recording, that taking all in swingers, and it's not Dwight McNeil. And you go down here to Cornet at 6-7. He actually took 4 corners last week, and he's apt to score. So this is my guy this week is Cornet. After kind of swearing him off a bunch in past weeks, I am on Cornet this week, and I'm sure he would let me down. Nathan Redmond, getting back to the top here, I want to say actually took some sets for Southampton. He was definitely crossing, so we wrote him off after James Ward-Prowse came back. Again, at that price, I don't love it, but on a 3-game slate, like, go wild. And we're going to see rotation anyway, so just like legitimate, play whoever you want. And Redmond could definitely fall into that territory. Trossard and Maupay, if you like Brighton, both the same price. Trossard normally with some sets, but with gross on, that will not be the case. Maupay scored last week, late, or maybe midweek. But yeah, he's Neil Maupay. Sure. I don't know how much I like Brighton here, but it doesn't matter. It's more about the players at this point, because again, like, no one really separates themselves on this slate. So, other than Liverpool. So that's fine. Joelinton I like a lot, especially if he's out on the wing. If, it's a front 3 for Newcastle. Joelinton is better on the wing than he is just a striker. And at that price, again, against Burnley, anyone on the wing against Burnley, is in play. And I think Joelinton is very much in play. Cornet, like I said, great. Both the Southampton strikers are perfectly fine. Armstrong is more of a shot floor. As much as I love Che Adams, I think I'd be willing to go back to Armstrong here. Okay, so the Wolves guys against Liverpool, Traore and Jimenez right next to each other. I talk about this all the time. On a 3-game slate where there is one big favorite, it's perfectly okay and contrarian to play a couple of the dog. And Traore had a huge floor midweek for Wolves. And, Jimenez is always apt to score. So if you want to play a couple of Wolves contrarian lines, I think you absolutely should. And just hope one of them scores, because these guys are going to be so unaround if they do score. If they don't, then they'll probably be plenty owned for what they produce. But I'm completely okay with going to Wolves here, which I feel like I say every time I'm doing this show, and they let me down. So it's Wolves. They're not great offensively against Liverpool, who is very good defensively. So don't take this as some sort of endorsement that I love Wolves here. But this is about getting different. This is about being contrarian. And, these guys are average salary. So you're going to be paying for, Trent Alexander-Arnold anyway. So you need some savings. And if you're not playing Allison, that's where it makes sense. All right. So Thiago, again, 5'9". If you need a forward spot, go for it. Like we saw last week, just because they're big favorites doesn't mean you have to play their high price guys. And he really didn't before. So Thiago's in play. Fabinho's in play. Jordan Henderson is very in play at this point if he plays. So moving on. You could see Broja. Sure. He starts. Podence is even more savings for Wolves if you really want to go there out. Goodmanson actually taking some corners for Burnley. So at 5-2, really not an awful play. But, he's not going to go 90. Chris Wood, 5,000. It's Newcastle. Perfectly okay time to go to Chris Wood. Here's Chan down here at 48. Again, if you really like Wolves, that's the biggest savings I think that you're going to get on a Wolves player. So maybe he's your guy if you need the salary. Nathan Tella actually took a corner for Southampton and 4,700 in this situation, kind of playing out on a wing for Southampton. I like Nathan Tella a lot. I like him for cash, and I definitely like him for GPP. So Miguel Almiron kind of changed things for Newcastle when they're down to 10 men, but he's still Miguel Almiron. I wouldn't go crazy. Theo Walcott, 4,000. I'd love to see Jurgen Locadia play, but you know what you're getting out of these guys. Sarmiento made the start midweek and left about 10 minutes in because he got hurt. Okay, let's talk about some mid-only players. James Ward-Prowse, 7-7. Awful in the midweek. Played more of a defensive role, wasn't taking corners, didn't cross the ball a whole lot. Be wary. I mean, he's probably going to be in my cash lineup. I'm going to let him spin one more time, but his last two, I think, have been stinkers. Like, it's 7 points. Yeah, 6-8 and 6-6. We want more of these double-digit cross games from our boy. But, yeah, he hasn't been that the last two. But I'm going to let him ride. More mid-only. Here's our guy, Jordan Henderson, priced up to 6,000. The way he's been playing, the way he's been involved, I think he's perfectly okay at that price. Not a lot of great plays on the slate from the savings plus, odds perspective. I'm cool with Jordan Henderson. Don't be afraid to play these cheaper Liverpool guys and just get exposure at this point. It probably ends up being Salah with 3 goals or whatever, but if you catch one of these and, Salah doesn't score, we saw it last week, it's going to push you to the top. And to my Wolves point, again, just to get back to that, like 2 weeks ago, it was United that was the big favorite on a pretty small slate, and a Watford stack just completely took down. Different plays. Liverpool is not United. Said that last week too, but just keep that in mind. Okay. James Milner, if he plays, is kind of like that Henderson spot. Ashley Westwood at 5,400 is nice. He's okay. I wouldn't mind playing him. I think in my cash lineup as it stands, I just didn't get to him. But Solly March, still more of a floor play. All of these guys kind of are. Elyounoussi can go on and score, though, so I don't hate that. If Jack Willock's in, or Joe Willock is in, rather, 4,700 for him is not bad. He just has not been terribly involved. I don't know what his shooting numbers are like. 6 shot attempts all year. Yeah, so if he plays, whatever, but I wouldn't be running him down. Armstrong and Shelby, again, both cash plays. Shelby can get there, but I'm not prioritizing him. All right, so Jacob Motor at 4-1. Very involved lately. I might play him in every lineup, to be honest with you. 4-3 with, let me just look at his last couple games. 6 crosses, some shots, 4 shots against Leeds, 2 crosses, 3, the double 11s back to back. Like, he does a lot, and Graham Potter seems to really like him. So, maybe every lineup is a bit of overkill, but at 4-3, that's fine. He just, I don't know. He's very in favor. He's very involved, and he's very cheap. So I like him. Coutinho and Trincao. Coutinho more of the cash play, obviously. Trincao has been letting me down a ton, but again, see what happens with. You know what? You don't need to play them. I don't know why I'm even giving them the time of day. You don't need to play João Coutinho against Liverpool. He should be 0% owned. Watch, he's going to score now. That's going to be the guy. Hayden, McAllister, these guys I don't have a whole lot to say about these guys. Ruben Neves, not in this spot. Fabinho, absolutely in this spot. Longstaff's cheap if he plays. Brownhill again, if no Westwood. Brownhill, 35 is fine. Yves Bissouma, excuse me. Yeah, not doing much. Not even really shooting a whole lot, so. That's shot assisted, not shot attempt. I read it as shot attempts before. So that I think makes Motor even gooder. Wow, I really am tired. Not bad. Yeah, some shots assisted. So like he's making key passes. 6 crosses with a shot assisted and a shot on goal against the team. I like him. And his price went down. I like him. I like him a lot. Got a bunch of defensive mids here. Sure. I wish Genepo would play again because I love that Stone Cold 3,000. All right, defenders. Alexander Arnold still priced up. That's our new reality now, I guess. But I think we're at the point where he makes sense to fade in GPP. If he has a 10-point game, like he did last time, you'll be glad you faded him, kind of like Salah. Like he's in that area of like a forward who, you need 2 goals out of. But he does that 30.5, 29.6, 17.5, 21, like it's 26, 20. Those are the prices you need, or the scores you need out of him. But now that he is 9,000, he is at that solid level of you need the 28, you need the 30, and it's more likely to get it from him than it is from Salah. But if he doesn't, you're going to wish you didn't have him because of how expensive he is, probably. But so, like a 50-50, maybe 60-40, 70-30, like I think you can get away from TAA. I'm not going to do it a ton. All right, so then Robertson or Tsimikas obviously are choices, especially if you just want to pay down from TAA. That's a fine swap. There's no reason to just not go from one to the other and save 34 to 3,700. That's fine. All right. Murphy at 6,100. I don't even know that he's going to start, but no thanks. I'm sure that'll be fine. I'm sure he'll score, but I'm probably not paying that. Richie at 5'9", sure. A little more active than Murphy, a little less goal dependent, but it's still not. I don't think I'm gonna go there. Ait Nori, great player, bad matchup. Ryan Frazier, 5,400. That's where I'm interested. Red card midweek when we were all playing. I had 100% Ryan Frazier. You get a red card from Ciaran Clark and Frazier comes off. And then John Joe Shelby takes everything. More reason to me to play Frazier. Maybe people are going to be off him this time. Lambdy's great. Cucurella's great. Livermento's great. I like this range here. 54 to 5,000. These are all perfect punt down options from TA if you want to go there, or in cash, like play 2 of these guys. Play Frazier and Lamptey. Play Frazier and Coop. Play Frazier and Livermento. And then just pair them with TAA, play 3 defenders, and then play Sadio Mane, and I think you're fine in cash. No reason to get to Charlie Taylor over these guys in my mind, but sure. No reason to get to any of these guys, really. I actually prefer playing Van Dijk over most of these wingbacks or fullbacks, whatever you want to call them. Tarkowski's pretty expensive for a center back. I'd play Joel Matip at 34. Shane Duffy at 32 is fine. Konate, if he starts at 31, is fantastic. That's a great punt. Neil Collins is tall. If Tarkowski doesn't play, same thing for Dunn. But Ben Mee at 2,700, always in play. Then you got your Connor Cody's, who doesn't really go up. So yeah, pair him with a keeper. Keeper. All right. Sa at 3,800. Fine. Liverpool might drop 5 on him, so that might suck. So Pope against Newcastle at 43, I think is the best play on the slate. Big save upside, bad team. I think there's a lot of win upside baked here. I think I would prefer to find the 500 to get up to Pope, but it's keeper, so you don't have to. Whatever, take your pick on either of these two. I think McCarthy might get some work, but that's anecdotal. It doesn't really matter. Dubravka's fine if you can get there, especially from a GPP perspective. I think Dubravka has just as much chances of a clean sheet as Allison, and maybe a shot to get a little bit more work. And so, sure, if you have 5,100, you can spend it there. I'd rather have Pope, but yeah, that's it, man. The big takeaways from the slate are pay attention to lineups. You want to talk about how that last hour before, lineups and kickoff is the biggest difference in DFS soccer. Like now with the festive fixtures, all this, the soccer out the ass, as Blender says here in December, like you need to pay attention to rotation. If you're locked into something and then all of a sudden you get a team that rolls out, a different lineup than you're used to, and the set taker changes, and all of a sudden your guy's not involved, then you're going to be kind of out on your ass. And just be ready to pay attention and know kind of what the changes are. Like if Tsimikas is in over Robertson, that doesn't really change anything. But if all of a sudden Pascal Gross sits, Leandro Trossard or Solly March are taking, and if one of those guys sits, the other one has, like a full set monopoly. I think even Moder got on set, so more reason to play Jacob Moder. So yeah, be aware of that and just kind of know how to navigate that, know who's doing what. And if you're not used to it, pay, the extra $5 this weekend to come hang out at FSI, hang out in the Discord. And you'll know very much where those spots are. So it's not expensive. It's a great community, and you can come chat us up and maybe learn a thing or two. But I would advise it for, I think to get the whole month of December, if you want to play DFS soccer, like it's more worth it in December than any other month, because you're just going to figure out what kind of changes do what. So yeah, figure out what you're doing with Liverpool. Make sure you know who's on sets and how the formations affect different players. And from there, like I would say this is a 3-game slate. Find your floors and find some cheap goals, but it's a tough one because it's just a big favorite and then a bunch of teams who can't score. So again, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Leave a comment who you like, who you don't, and then maybe join us in the FSI Discord. Go to fsidfs.com, get yourself a membership, and come see us there. And we'll have a little bit more for you a little closer to lock. But until then, talk to you.